anybody's got callers this amazing. Sid in Washington began to sing that.
There is no such thing as Palestine, people.
See, how can you say there's no such thing? See, saying there's no such thing as Palestine sounds an awful lot like when people say America is just an idea. How can you say there's no such thing as Palestine? Who are the Palestinian people? Who were there before the Jews? Who were there in 1913 when the first Jews escaped pogroms in Eastern Europe and Russia and Ukraine and went to settle in the Pales of Palestine?
Ottoman Empire held it.
What's that?
Then.
The Ottoman, the Ottoman Empire held it. Yeah, that's right. And the Palestinians were there, and Jews were there, and Christians were there, Muslims were there, all living in this area called Palestine, right?
According to Mark Twain, the land was virtually desolate without inhabitants until Jews began to reclaim the malarial swampland, and they only hired Palestinians to help them, and they lived copacetically.
No. Now you're spinning lies. Now you're spinning lies. No.
You're watching The American Journal with Harrison Smith.
The Alex Jones Show.
This is The War Room with Owen Schroyer.
InfoWars, the most banned network in the world.
Okay. All right. We're going to Sid in Gig Harbor. He says, I don't know what's up. Sid in Gig Harbor, thanks for calling in. You're on the air.
God bless you today, Harrison.
Thank you.
You know, I was angling for your job for a minute there, but thankfully I didn't get it. You're doing a great job, except for this one thing, which I'm going to cut you some slack, give you a break. You know, I know you're not trying to win the Jewish vote or anything, but perhaps it hasn't occurred to you that the Jews are surrounded by 22 Arab states with 23 million square acres. Perhaps you've never woken up in the middle of the night with rocket attacks and screaming sirens, and you have 30 seconds to get to a bunker. Perhaps you're not quite educated on the Yom Kippur, on the Six-Day War, how it's been a war of annihilation against the Jews for thousands of years. And listen, perhaps you lost touch with your friend Will Johnson, who's a very big friend of Israel, as he calls it. The Jews are the oracles of God. They kept the word of God. It is why the satanic plot is to destroy Israel and to specifically take Jerusalem as the capital for the papacy. The Pope is behind all of that. The Pope is behind the Protocols of the Elders of Zion, which is a miserable forgery from the pits of hell, no matter what that consistent caller says. All right? The Jews are the friendless ones in history. The Jews have been subject to pogroms and massacres untold in Christian history. And if you do know your Christian Bible, you know that it is the God of the Jews, the God of Israel, who will save all mankind. The kingdom to come will be Israelitish. I have my own show. I talk about these things. I'm not going to name my show because it's not about me. This is about me helping you guys understand the situation a little deeper before you just hop in bed with Omar and Rahib. Look, I did a show on the Squad. I talked to your friend Will Johnson about the Squad. These people want every Jew on earth dead because that ends God's plan for salvation. The kingdom of God will be to the Jew first.
So
now, the Jews who live in the territory
are you Jewish, Sid?
You mentioned the Jews in the territories are Orthodox.
No.
No.
I said Orthodox Jews stand up for the Palestinians. There's a lot of Orthodox Jews that are against the state of Israel because they think that it is folly for man to try to reestablish the state of Israel when God destroyed it.
With some pretty odd websites. In fact, I would say those are the white supremacists that you find 1 in a million. You'll find them out there. But for the most part, people agree that the movement to bring Hebrews from the four corners of the earth, all regathered to their own land, to regather, which has never been done in the history of the earth with any other nation, most people who understand their Bibles agree that that was prophetic.
Okay. So why does that give them a right to dislocate Palestinians from their communities and send them into refugee camps? Why does that give them a right to kick Palestinians out of houses that they've been in for generations and off of land that they've been in for generations?
Always a very interesting story, and there's always more to the truth than ever meets the press. But if you were to look at the actual story, the first thing that happened with this whole mess, an American businessman, a successful American businessman with 7 children, took a visit to Israel, drove up to a street corner, fired bullets into 3 innocent Jewish girls waiting for a bus, and 1 was killed. Now, they hunted him down and found him. You don't see that story in the press, but that's where this really did begin.
Wait. Where what began? When was this?
That was just before this incident involving the real estate. Now, 70 people are leaving their homes that are purchased by Jews. These are purchased properties. And this is the capital of Israel. Jerusalem is the historic, undivided capital of Israel. And one last thing, I know you want to get to other people, but there is no such thing as Palestine, people.
See, how can you say there's no such thing? See, saying there's no such thing as Palestine sounds an awful lot like when people say America is just an idea. How can you say there's no such thing as Palestine? Who are the Palestinian people? Who were there before the Jews? Who were there in 1913 when the first Jews escaped pogroms in Eastern Europe and Russia and Ukraine and went to settle in the Pales of Palestine?
Ottoman Empire held it.
What's that? Then. The Ottoman, the Ottoman Empire held it. Yeah, that's right. And the Palestinians were there, and Jews were there, and Christians were there, Muslims were there, all living in this area called Palestine, right?
According to Mark Twain, the land was virtually desolate without inhabitant until Jews began to reclaim the malarial swampland, and they only hired Palestinians to help them, and they lived copacetically.
No. Now you're spinning lies. Now you're spinning lies. No.
It's by Joan Peters. It's called Time Immemorial. You can't bottleneck information, and you can't hide the Jesuit influence over this. And I'm going to be back. I'll talk to you some more about this. I'm Sid Canoe.
Okay. All right. Great, Sid. Thank you. I do not think that the prophecies that you're referring to are correct.
I do not think that the prophecies that you're referring to are correct.
I don't think the people that are using Judaism as sort of a shield to say, well, you can't criticize us, have any standing. I don't think the people running things like the Rothschilds are particularly Jewish or holy or above reproach. I think they are
dirtbags, to be honest with you. Not because they're Jewish. I'm telling you, I have probably more Jewish friends than anybody that's not Jewish, right? I grew up, and my wife grew up in a Jewish neighborhood. I had like 4 Jewish people standing next to me at my wedding, watching my wife and I tie the knot. There's nothing against Jewish people. I love Jewish people. I love Jewish culture. I've been to countless bat mitzvahs and weddings. It's a beautiful culture. It really is interesting and a powerful culture that they have. That doesn't give them the right to destroy Palestinian homes. Doesn't give them the right to bulldoze rubble over Palestinian children. Doesn't give them the right to kill 50 Palestinian children, as they have in the last week. Doesn't give them the right to clear people off the land. Doesn't give them the right to say Palestine never existed, doesn't exist, and doesn't deserve to exist. I just don't care about any of that stuff. I care about what's actually happening on the ground, which is a massive first world country that is incredibly rich and funded by the United States and armed by the United States, lording over and oppressing the people that have lived there for generations. I mean, it's so absurd to suggest this is anything else, and also to suggest that I don't know my history. 1913 was where this first began because there were pogroms in Russia after the assassination of the Tsar. Those
people from the Ukraine went to Israel and started settle there. Many of those same people went back to Russia after the Bolshevik Revolution.
But then it all culminated in the early 1900s with the Balfour Declaration, where once Palestine was under the British mandate, the British government agreed
to give the
British mandate of Palestine over to the Rothschilds if the Rothschilds would use their political influence in America to bring America into World War I. I mean, what is holy about this? Well, what is godly about any of this? There's nothing godly about this. There's nothing holy about this. There's nothing in prophecy that says this is a good thing. Everything in prophecy said Jesus would come, and then
Israel would go away.
And Israel would become the body of the Christians. The Christians are now the people of God. We are now the chosen ones, okay?
Thank you for joining us. We're taking phone calls.
We've been talking about Christianity. We're talking about Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib attacking Israel. Is as clear as mud, right? I mean, they want to attack Israel big as day. Okay, so like I said, let's go back to the phone call. Let's go to Octaman, Washington State.
Hi, Will.
Hey, how you doing, sir?
Wonderful to talk to you. Wonderful to be in the war room today. Hey, and you did a great job yesterday in Portland. I was watching that thing all day long. You are a magnificent addition to InfoWars. You and Harrison Smith are pure talents, and your passion comes through, and I applaud you guys.
Thank you.
And I might be a little hopped up on the Red Pill Plus right now, but that's okay, because we got important things to talk about. Look, Rashida Tlaib and Omar, the face of the Muslim Brotherhood, all right?
Yes. And the face of the Democrat Party.
Right. How they talk about their sad memories about the poor grandma having to have tears. You know what I remember? I remember the Shoah. I remember the pogroms and the persecutions, the mass executions. I remember 1948 when 9 Arab armies attacked the Jewish state and tried to eliminate every single Jew. I remember in 1967 when Syria threatened to annihilate the Jews and failed in 6 days. I remember the Yom Kippur War in 1973. Same thing. It's been a war of annihilation by 23 Arab states surrounding one tiny little sliver of land. And none of those states will take in a single refugee. Now, you know why that is? That's because the PLO, the Palestinians say, by the way, there is no such thing as Palestine. Can we just stop using that word? It does not exist.
That's true. But the only reason why they're saying it because the UN will acknowledge Palestine and the UN acknowledges Israel.
Exactly.
In the same way, if you acknowledge one, you got to acknowledge the other. But I agree.
You know when that
began?
began?
It doesn't exist.
That began with Kurt Waldheim when he was the head of the UN and he invited Yasser Arafat to come in and speak at the podium wearing a sidearm. And he held that gun. And he said it's either going to be this or that. Right? And the entire plot thickens as they use the PLO as a wedge issue in order to destroy the Jewish state. Why? Because as you guys, look, this is wonderful that you guys are all talking about the Bible. It's a great day when people are being awakened to the fact that the Bible is being fulfilled. God has promised that Israel will be the blesser nation. Genesis 12:3. Everyone who blesses Israel, as you said earlier in the show, will be blessed, and those who curse Israel will be cursed. And I tell you what, the whole globe will be Israelitish one day. We are experiencing the global anarchy that was predicted.
Yes.
Now, the global anarchy is the great antitypical French Revolution. It was predicted in the scriptures. Many people are confused about this. They think that there's going to be a World War III. I'm not saying there won't be. But the nature of the conflict is what we are seeing on the ground in Portland and in Hong Kong, and it is spread to Australia. It is the battle of Armageddon spoken of in the scriptures, but it is not necessarily involving any nuclear war. It could be, but the nature of Armageddon is spiritual. It is symbolic. It is right versus left. It is truth versus error.
Yeah, I agree with you. In the Bible, it talks about there's going to be a war that's going to kill 1/3 of mankind, and that war is going to start in the Euphrates River. And a lot of people don't know the Euphrates River is right there in the Middle East where Syria and all of this stuff is happening. Hey, Octaman, hey, I want to thank you for calling in. I'm going to be hosting more this week. Please call back in when we have more time. I'm going to get to some of these other callers. Thank you for calling in.
I'm going to come see you sometime, Will. I'm always amused by people's ideas. That's funny. That's really funny. No, go on. I didn't mean. No, please, just people's ideas. It's still funny.
All of the people will learn what's real. No one has to beg, hunt, borrow, or steal. Now is the time and the land is Israel. Earth's rightly King, Messiah, Redeemer, world. He is the great, omniscient, holy one. Lord of his own begotten Son, a singer, son of man, as an invisible spirit being. He's like a thief in the night, he's yet unseen. when God will reveal him in power. But as the bright sun shining from the east into the west, lightning, brightening, end of the second command. Thank you.
Sid in Washington.
Hey, what do you think of that?
That's amazing. Sid Canoe, the best ukulele player to ever play on Sunday Night Live.